How are you? Nervous. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm not a quiet person, so I don't think I'll shoot it. Alright. So, this is my story. I went to spring launch in the spring of 2012 as a senior consultant. I had no specific goals in mind on the way down, other than to have a good time and talk to other consultants. I watched the new directors walk across the stage and others give presentations on how their businesses were thriving. What was getting to me was the fact that I'm an extremely competitive person, and almost all of them had been consultants a lot less time than me, and that the things that I've been saying someday to, they were doing now. At lunchtime, I remember scoping out Jillian Grant. Because I'd seen her face in the catalog since the day I signed my agreement. And she clearly was doing something right, as Sharon said, to recruit almost 100 people in the 4 years that I've been a consultant. We talked for about 10 minutes, and there were two things that she said that stuck out to me. The first, she liked my dimples. The second was that if I was looking to change my business, I needed to make a plan and be consistent with it. I'd heard the same thing over and over and over again. And I said, oh, okay, every time. But for some reason, it clicked this time. Maybe it was because it came from a beautiful woman, looking me in the eye and saying it. Or maybe it was timing, and I decided that now was going to be my time to do the things that were making others successful. It was time to stop talking about someday, building my team, and filling my calendar, and actually start doing it. And by the way, at launch, I didn't even have one show on my calendar, and my career sales were $28,000 for 4 years. On the bus ride back to Maine, I talked to my executive director, Dot, about what I wanted and needed to do to change my business into an actual business and not just a hobby. Again, she also said two big things. She was going to hold me accountable, and that she believed in me. That was my biggest motivation. When somebody tells you that at this age and means it, it can change your world. I needed to get a plan together because I worked 2 jobs, and like you know, I go to school full time. Time management was huge for me, and I'm the king of procrastination. Once I set my plan into action, I was to email her at the end of each month with my results. Now, I hate the phone with a passion. Like, despise it. I have no issue being on Facebook, Twitter, texting, all that stuff. And I have no problem picking it up and calling to ask someone for an order. But to ask someone for a booking, you'd think I'd ask them to buy me a Lexus. But I had a really big goal and a really big reason. My mom. I came from a primarily single-parent household. And if any one of you has ever been a single parent, or comes from a single parent, you know the sacrifices that entails over years. And my mom was turning 50, and she sang country music better than most people. Can you guess what my motivation was? I wanted to take her to Nashville. I want on a trip that she would never forget, and I didn't want her to know. So here's what I did. Now let's pull myself together. Okay. I picked out the days that I would work. Not could, I would work. I broke it down into daily, weekly, and monthly goals. It's so much less intimidating if you do that. It makes it seem so much more attainable because you feel accomplished as you achieve these smaller goals. It's not such a mountain, it's just a hill that you're climbing every day to get there. Next, I hauled out my old list of 100. We all have it. And I started filling it out again. I know different people now than when I did when I first started. Plus, I had old contacts and those past hopes. I made about 20 contacts, whether it was through Facebook messaging or by phone. I told them my goal, and I asked them if they'd be willing to have a party to help me reach it, and in return, I'd give them the best show they'd ever had, and I would fill their kitchen to the point their husband would even build an addition. And I also offered to bring the ingredients, like Duska says, if they would just get me 8 to 12 people there. Now, what about the actual show itself? I knew how to do a show. I knew how to do a pretty good show, I thought, actually. But I wanted to do the best show I could. So I sat down one day for about an hour and figured out exactly what products I wanted to talk about, and that was key. You need to get people to fall in love with cooking again. You can't just say, oh, here's my mandolin and great, cuts up onions. No, you want to get them back in the kitchen to using those things. It's kind of like falling in love with your business all over again. Inspire them to get back in the kitchen and cook for their families. And this is a big thing too. Make them laugh. I'm really not a funny person, I promise. But get a good couple one-liners that work for you. And play the damn ticket game. That is something I cannot clearly emphasize to you enough. Don't play stealing hearts. Don't take a heart. Give them their own heart. And I don't throw dice. I don't play poker. We're not playing dice. So here are my results. My results from those 20 phone calls were 7 shows on my calendar for April and 2 in May. The biggest month I've ever had to date was $1,900. Now on April 1st, I had 500 incentive trip points. If any of you were around last year, you knew you had till July 31st to come up with 38,000 points. That's 120 days. And I hadn't done a cooking show since November. My stats for April were $5,066, 12 bookings, and 1 new consultant. And it took up about 20 hours of my time. I took a leap of faith on May 1st and gave my notice at Chili's, where I worked. This was a really big deal because it was my main source of income and I needed to replace it. So it was imperative that this wasn't going to be just a 1-month thing. And that added to my motivation. And it just snowballed from there. On July 1st, I promoted to director and became the first male director ever in the state of Maine. 1 week later, I earned Nashville on July 8th. Wow. That was a feeling that I could not replace. I had done it, and the hard work had actually paid off. My someday was that day. And my mom opened her birthday card on August 13th with my congratulations, you're going to Nashville. If I can do this, legit anybody can do it. Don't tell me it's because you're a guy, you can get away with it, or you're young. No, it's not. It's actually harder because it finds that older people, not older people, people that can it's harder to be taken seriously when you're younger. It is. You recruit someone, trying to tell a 60-year-old woman how this business is changing my life when she remembers when Marilyn Monroe died. I mean, it can be done. So, like I said, if I can do this, you can do this. I've used every excuse in the book. I could write the book with my eyes closed. So if you want to change your business, you can do it. You just have to have a reason why and take off running and don't let anybody tell you no. Thanks.